The next time you pour a glass of dark red cherry juice, pay attention to this. In a clinical trial, adults with chronic insomnia who drank this twice a day slept 84 minutes longer per night, not self-reported, not a feeling, measured in a sleep lab with electrodes on their scalp by polysomnography. 84 minutes in 2 weeks. You've had this fruit before, dried in a bag of trail mix, baked into a pie your grandmother called sour cherry, sitting in a bottle in the back of the refrigerator, bought once, forgotten twice. You treated it as a snack, as a dessert, as a tart, slightly unpleasant fruit you eat when the sweet ones run out. Your body treated it as a chemical signal, and that signal was aimed directly at the part of your brain that decides when you sleep. Here's the thing nobody ever taught you. Fruit is not filed under sleep in your head. Fruit is vitamin C. Fruit is fiber. Fruit is the healthy thing you're supposed to eat more of. It's a background character. So when you can't sleep, you don't walk to your kitchen, you walk to a pharmacy aisle. And you're not alone. Melatonin is now one of the most purchased sleep supplements on the planet. Millions of bottles, every month. People spending real money every single night on a molecule they assume exists nowhere in nature but a capsule. Picture this. A person stands in a supermarket, walks past a bag of dried tart cherries, and 20 minutes later stands in a different aisle, paying for a bottle, promising the exact same outcome. That's not stupidity, that's marketing. The label on the bottle says sleep support. The label on the fruit says nothing at all. But here's where it gets strange, and this is the part the supplement industry would rather you skipped. The melatonin inside these cherries is nowhere near a supplement dose. It's a fraction of one, and they still worked. Why? The compound is melatonin, spelled exactly the way it's spelled on the bottle. Your pineal gland already makes it. It builds it from serotonin, and serotonin gets built from tryptophan, an amino acid you can only get from food. As darkness falls, output climbs. It binds to receptors in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a cluster of cells behind your eyes, roughly the size of a grain of rice, that functions as your body's master clock. Here's what almost everyone gets wrong. Melatonin is not a sedative. It doesn't knock you out. It is a timing signal. It tells every organ in your body what time it is. Tart Montmorency cherries contain endogenous melatonin, around 13 nanograms per gram of fruit. A study published in the European Journal of Nutrition in 2012 tested this. 20 healthy adults, 7 days, tart cherry juice concentrate versus placebo. Researchers measured 6-sulfatoxy-melatonin, the metabolite your kidneys excrete after melatonin does its job. Total melatonin content rose significantly. Time in bed, total sleep time, and sleep efficiency all increased. And the melatonin rhythm showed a trend toward higher amplitude. Amplitude, not timing, the height of the wave. Picture this. Your circadian rhythm is a radio broadcast. Your organs are receivers scattered across your body. The question was never volume, it's signal versus static. A strong nighttime signal means every receiver hears the same instruction at the same moment. A flattened signal means half of them are guessing. That's the symptom you've actually felt. 8 hours in bed, waking up like you fought something. Alert at 11 p.m., dead at 3 p.m. Sleep that technically happened but didn't repair anything. But now the problem. The melatonin in a day's worth of that juice is roughly 85 micrograms. A supplement capsule is 500 to 5,000. You could not build a pill that week on purpose. The researchers said it themselves. The melatonin cannot explain the result, which means something else in that cherry is doing the heavy lifting. If this is catching you off guard the same way it caught me when I first read the research, take 1 second, hit like on this video, and subscribe. This channel exists to dig into the science nobody puts on the label. No sponsors telling us what to say, just the mechanism, the study, and what it means. Now here's the part that surprises people even more. The deep red color? Anthocyanins. Specifically cyanidin 3-O-glucosyl rutinoside and cyanidin 3-O-rutinoside. Alongside them sits a related polyphenol, procyanidin B2, and procyanidin B2 does something no melatonin capsule does. It interferes with an enzyme called indoleamin 2,3-dioxygenase, IDO. IDO is a thief. When your body is inflamed, IDO gets switched on, and it starts pulling tryptophan down the kynurenine pathway, burning it as immune fuel instead of leaving it available to become serotonin and then melatonin. Same raw material, 2 departments competing for it. A pilot study published in the American Journal of Therapeutics in 2018 followed adults over 50 with chronic insomnia. 2 weeks of tart cherry juice, 240 milliliters twice daily. Sleep was measured by polysomnography, electrodes, sleep lab, no self-reporting. Total sleep time increased by 84 minutes. Their kynurenine to tryptophan ratio fell. Prostaglandin E2, an inflammatory signal, fell. And in the lab, cherry procyanidin B2 inhibited IDO in a dose-dependent way. Be honest about the size. 8 completers. A pilot. It needs replication. But the pattern repeats elsewhere. A study in Nutrients in 2014 put cyclists through 3 consecutive days of high-intensity racing on Montmorency cherry concentrate. Markers of oxidative stress and inflammation came in lower than placebo. Picture this. Tryptophan is a budget. Inflammation is a department that files expense claims all night. The anthocyanins don't hand you more money, they slow the spending. So there's something left when the sleep department finally submits its request at 10 p.m. That's why it isn't a pill. It's not donation, it's protection. And the symptom is one you've already misdiagnosed. Waking at 4 a.m. for no reason, sore 2 days after a workout you used to shrug off, sleep that stopped feeling restorative somewhere around your 30s. It doesn't announce itself. There's no night it breaks. It erodes so gradually you file it under stress, under work, under getting older. Inflammation doesn't wake you up. It just quietly stops letting you go deep. Picture the person most affected, 48 years old, trains 4 evenings a week because they were told exercise fixes sleep, eats well, doesn't drink much. Lies down exhausted and still surfaces at 4 a.m., staring at the ceiling, running tomorrow's calendar. They've concluded their body is simply getting older. But every hard session raises inflammatory signaling. Every night of shallow sleep raises it further. IDO stays busy. Tryptophan keeps getting diverted. The melatonin curve flattens a little more. The recovery that was supposed to happen during deep sleep doesn't fully happen, so they wake up sore, train sore, and inflame further. The loop closes on itself, and they blame their age. It wasn't insomnia. It was a supply chain problem. The supplement aisle sells them the finished product. Nobody sells them the thing that stops the raw material from being burned before it ever arrives. Pain is not a feature, it's feedback. So what do you actually do with this? First, match the form to the research. Every trial that produced a measurable result used tart cherry, Pronicerasis, usually the Montmorency variety, not sweet dessert cherries. The studied dose was either 240 milliliters of juice twice daily or roughly 30 milliliters of concentrate twice daily, which is about 2 tablespoons. Whole tart cherries work out to roughly 100 grams per serving, a loose handful. Frozen counts. Frozen preserves anthocyanins well. Second, respect the timing, but not the way you think. The studies did not use a single shot at bedtime. They dosed twice a day, morning and evening, with the second serving typically 1 to 2 hours before sleep. This matters because you're not sedating yourself. You're raising the amplitude of a rhythm and lowering a background inflammatory load. That takes days, not one glass. Every meaningful trial ran 1 to 2 weeks minimum. Third, read the bottle like a chemist, not a shopper. Cherry flavored is not cherry. Cherry blend usually means apple and grape juice wearing a costume. You want tart or Montmorency cherry, no added sugar. Then understand the trade-off. 240 milliliters of juice carries real sugar. Whole or frozen fruit brings the fiber with it. Dried cherries are frequently sweetened and sugar-infused, which is why they taste like candy. Fourth, don't waste it. A flattened melatonin curve is easily overwhelmed by a bright screen 15 centimeters from your face. Light is a stronger circadian input than food. Dim the room, and you're letting the signal land instead of drowning it. And if you're managing a health condition or taking medication, that's a conversation with a professional, not a video. You're not someone who just drinks cherry juice anymore. You're someone who understands melatonin as a timing signal rather than a sedative. Who knows that anthocyanins and procyanidin B2 restrain indoleamine 2,3-dioxygenases, and that this decides whether your tryptophan becomes calm or becomes kynurenine. Who understands that recovery is not something that happens after sleep, it happens during it, and only if the chemistry cooperates. You know what happens when that system gets pushed past its balance point, night after night, year after year, while you blame your age. The label said fruit snack. The biochemistry said circadian input. There's another everyday ingredient sitting in almost every kitchen right now, doing something to your body you've never been told about. It's in your cupboard, you've used it this week, and it interacts with an enzyme most people have never heard of. In the next video, we're going to pull it apart compound by compound. Don't eat it until you've watched.